The relationship between science and faith has long been a subject of intense debate, often framed as an intractable conflict. Yet a cursory glance at the history of scientific discovery reveals a far more nuanced picture. Baruch Shalef's intriguing survey of Nobel Prize winners offers a compelling insight into this complex relationship. A striking 65% of laureates identified as Christian, a figure rising to 74% in scientific fields, including other theistic systems such as Judaism, further elevates this figure to an impressive 85%. This data challenges the simplistic narrative of an inherent antagonism between scientific inquiry and religious belief. This essay delves into this apparent paradox by examining the claims of four prominent figures often dubbed the Four Horsemen of New Atheism: Richard Dawkins, Daniel Dennett, Sam Harris, and the late Christopher Hitchens. The Four Horsemen rose to prominence through their assertive critiques of religion, arguing for its incompatibility with reason and scientific understanding. They posit that faith is inherently irrational, inhibiting intellectual progress and societal well-being. Their arguments, however, have not withstood scrutiny unscathed. Each horseman has faced significant pushback from academics and thinkers within their respective fields, exposing logical fallacies, factual inaccuracies, and a lack of scholarly rigor. This essay will dissect the central arguments of each horseman, highlighting the flaws and inconsistencies that undermine their conclusions. Furthermore, we will contrast their approach with the intellectual humility, dedication to evidence-based reasoning, and openness to exploring the unknown, qualities often associated with recipients of the Nobel Prize. Daniel Dennett, a prominent philosopher of mind, attempts to demystify religion in his book Breaking the Spell. He views religious belief as an evolutionary byproduct, suggesting that it should be studied with the tools of scientific naturalism. While this approach may hold some merit, Dennett's analysis often falls short of a nuanced understanding of religious experience and practice. Critics argue that Dennett's reductionist approach fails to grasp the depth and complexity of religious traditions, reducing them to mere biological or social phenomena. His analysis overlooks the profound philosophical and theological discussions that have shaped religious thought for centuries. In The Moral Landscape, neuroscientist Sam Harris argues that morality can be derived solely from scientific principles, specifically from understanding human well-being. He contends that science can determine objective moral truths, rendering religious frameworks irrelevant. However, Harris's approach has been widely criticized for its philosophical naivete. Critics point out that defining well-being in purely scientific terms is inherently problematic. What constitutes a flourishing life is a value judgment, influenced by cultural, philosophical, and even religious perspectives. Harris's attempt to reduce morality to brain states fails to account for the complex interplay of factors that shape ethical decision-making. Section 5, Christopher Hitchens, razor-sharp rhetoric, dull evidence. The late Christopher Hitchens, a renowned journalist and essayist, was a vocal critic of religion. He argued that faith is inherently irrational and detrimental to human progress. While Hitchens's eloquence and wit were undeniable, his arguments often lacked intellectual rigor. Critics accused Hitchens of employing straw-man arguments, misrepresenting religious doctrines, and cherry-picking historical examples to fit his narrative. His work often prioritized polemic over nuanced analysis, sacrificing accuracy for rhetorical flourish. Section 6, Richard Dawkins, the showman of scientism. Richard Dawkins, an evolutionary biologist, rose to prominence with his book The Selfish Gene. While his contributions to evolutionary theory are undeniable, Dawkins has been criticized for his strident atheism and often simplistic portrayal of religion. His later works, such as The God Delusion, have been accused of misrepresenting scientific concepts to advance an anti-religious agenda. Critics argue that Dawkins conflates scientific explanations with metaphysical claims, presenting scientism, the belief that science can answer all questions, as a self-evident truth. His approach mirrors the tactics of P.T. Barnum, the famed showman who famously said, "There's a sucker born every minute." Dawkins's The Greatest Show on Earth lecture tour, with its theatrical presentation and appeal to emotion, further reinforces this parallel, suggesting a prioritization of entertainment and persuasion over nuanced discourse. Section 7, the allure and illusion of simplistic answers. The popularity of the Four Horsemen can be partly attributed to their ability to offer seemingly straightforward answers to complex questions. In an age of information overload and uncertainty, their pronouncements provide a sense of clarity and intellectual superiority. However, this allure of simplicity often comes at the expense of accuracy and depth. Their approach overlooks the inherent ambiguity of human existence and the limitations of any single discipline, including science, to provide all-encompassing answers. The complexities of the cosmos, the intricacies of consciousness, and the enduring mysteries of human experience defy reductionist explanations. Section 8, the Nobel Path, Rigor, Humility, and the Unknown. The Nobel Prize, awarded for exceptional contributions to humanity, often reflects a different set of values. Laureates across disciplines typically demonstrate intellectual humility, acknowledging the limits of their knowledge and the vastness of the unknown. Their work is characterized by a dedication to rigorous inquiry, a willingness to challenge assumptions, and an openness to revising conclusions in light of new evidence. This commitment to seeking truth, regardless of where it may lead, stands in stark contrast to the often dogmatic and ideologically driven approach of the Four Horsemen. The Nobel Path embodies a spirit of exploration and discovery, embracing the mystery and wonder that lie at the heart of the human experience. Section 9, Faith and Science, a false dichotomy. The Four Horsemen present a false dichotomy between faith and science, suggesting that one must choose between religious belief and a rational scientific worldview. This either-or proposition ignores the rich history of interplay between these two domains. Throughout history, individuals have found no inherent conflict in embracing both scientific inquiry and religious faith. From Gregor Mendel, the father of genetics and an Augustinian friar, to Georges Lemaitre, the physicist who proposed the Big Bang theory, and a Catholic priest, countless individuals have found harmony between their scientific pursuits and religious convictions. Section 10, the profit of provocation when ideas become commodities. The success of the Four Horsemen raises important questions about the commodification of ideas in the public sphere. Their confrontational style, often bordering on the theatrical, has proven commercially successful, filling auditoriums and generating significant book sales. This raises the question, have their arguments gained traction due to their intellectual merit, or have they been amplified by a culture that rewards provocation and sensationalism? The line between promoting critical thinking and peddling intellectual entertainment can become blurred when financial incentives come into play. Section 11, Beyond the Arena, a call for nuanced dialogue. The Four Horsemen have undoubtedly contributed to the public discourse on religion and science. However, their approach, often characterized by oversimplification and a lack of scholarly rigor, ultimately hinders a deeper understanding of these complex issues. Moving forward, it is essential to cultivate a more nuanced and respectful dialogue, one that acknowledges the complexities of both faith and science. This requires engaging with religious traditions on their own terms, recognizing their intellectual depth and cultural significance, and resisting the temptation to reduce them to simplistic caricatures. Only through genuine dialogue and a willingness to grapple with nuance can we hope to bridge divides and foster greater understanding in an increasingly polarized world.